as audible as possible. I hope everyone can hear me. Some are saying they can't. I'm saying someone can say they can't hear. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Wale can hear me. Okay. So I'll just shoot. Okay. So another person, Tomilala O, can hear me. So I'll just start from there. So I'll start with a common phrase from Song Tzu. Song Tzu's works was compiled into what they call the art of war. And it says that it is said that if you know your enemies and you know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles. If you do not know your enemies, but do know yourself, you will win one and lose one. But if you don't know your enemies nor yourself, you will be imperiled in every single battle. And why this is important is that most times we tend to have a business idea and then we try to sell. But you need to as well understand that to be able to succeed, there are other people who have almost exactly the same ideas as you do. So that means that while you are trying to sell, there are other people selling the same thing. It's like when project management was trending. Everybody wanted to be a project management trainer. Today, again, is digital marketing. Everybody's a digital marketing expert. Everybody is a social marketing expert. That means that since if all of us are trying to target the same market, and you find that a lot of all those people are within the same locality, they are in Lagos, they're in Abuja, they're in Port Harcourt. Okay, can you hear me? Can I continue? Okay. So no, I've started already. The sound was disturbing. I'm sure everyone who wants to do, you have an idea and you want to sell to a market. While you have your product, there are three things you need to understand to be able to succeed. A clear understanding of your product or what it does in the life of the consumer, a clear understanding of your consumers and what your product does in their life, and a clear understanding of the landscape and your competition and how your product is positioned relative to others. Because if you don't understand that very clearly, we will lose every time. Every time we get into the market, there are people who are trying to sell. So imagine at some point it was cinnamon hats that was raining. At some point it was makeup. Everybody's doing almost the same thing, running to the same space. And so if you are competing, you need to understand how you are positioned in relation to others, or else you will not maximize the potential of what your business is doing in the market. And that's why this is understanding this is very, very clear across digital, social media, and even on ground. Your clear understanding of how your product is in relation to consumers and relation to competition is almost key for you to be able to succeed and maximize the potential of what your product wants to achieve. Now, can I have a sense of what businesses? Yeah, this is a business group. Can I have a sense of the individual business groups that we do? Maybe you should just comment. I'll probably use one or two as examples as I go on, so that I'm actually clearly relating to your business as individual. HR consulting, photography, any other one? Maybe one more. Mine is digital marketing, so Bimleke does it. So there's catering as well. Fantastic. Okay, so I'll use IT consulting. Okay, so I have varied and wide experience in house, and in understanding this clearly, you need to understand how your product in relation market. So you have an idea, and I don't want to spend so much time in how to validate your idea, but you need to understand that idea works. So the balance between understanding that you have a valid business idea, there are business idea, there are ideas, there's valid business ideas. You can have an idea, but the market may not be ready for it yet. The market may not be sizable enough. and then you may not have enough people who are willing to pay for your product. So clearly, I always like to ask those simple questions for people who already have an idea that they are working with. Is do you understand your market well enough? Is your product solving a problem? Everybody can have a business idea, but it is more likely if you are clear about the product or the problem your product is solving, you are more likely going to sell a lot more. The example I always like to tell people is, number one, what problem are you solving? If you can't articulate the exact problem your business is solving, you are just part of the wannabes in the market. Number two, do you have a sizable amount of people who need your product or service? And I always love this example where selling a bottle of Pepsi in a desert is a brilliant idea. Selling a bottle of Pepsi on Lagos Ibadan is a brilliant idea. But then you need to ask yourself, how many people are you likely going to meet who are going to need your product every day? If you cannot answer that question well, you don't have a strong idea. And then, do you have a sizable number of people who can afford your product? So it is one thing for you to have a product that you sell. It's another thing completely to have a people who can pay for your product. So you can be selling clothes. You can be selling clothes, but the people you are trying to target cannot pay for your kind of clothes. You know, it's like saying that I sell gorgeous ready-to-made clothes, but then I can't find people who can afford. It's like someone who's in catering. You have amazing ideas to do crazy and brilliant things with fondant on your cake, to do superhero, PJ Masks, Spider-Man on your cakes, but you have to come at a cost. But for some reason, you are around Makoko. If you want to be able to sell around those people, your product's pricing needs to match them. You know, earlier today I was talking with a couple of people, digital marketing professionals in Yaba, and I was telling them about a particular person who sells clothes in Ikoyi. However, she was selling at a particular price and then realized that our normal customers were no longer coming. If they are not coming, what was the problem? She started to ask around. Oh, one of them said, no, there's one new woman that's opened down the road. That's where people are going now. And then she started talking to people. This woman is also selling the things I'm selling. And then she was a bit bothered for about 2 or 3 months. And then one day she realized that this woman was selling products more expensively than she was. So if she was selling her own clothes at 10,000, the woman was selling at 15,000. But people were going there. You see, the estate is a residential estate in Ikoyi, and people were going there. Now, what baffled her then was the fact that ultimately, ultimately, she realized the reason why people were going there. She was a lot more bothered when one day she found out that that woman was always buying products from where she was buying. So that means the woman was buying the product, say, for 6,000. She was selling for 10. The other lady was selling for as much as 18,000. But people were going there. Now, what she didn't realize quickly was the fact that because within that estate, it was in Ikoyi, rich people look at price to verify quality. So that means that if she didn't get an understanding of her customers, that the more expensive it is, the higher their perception of the quality, she will miss out. So all she needed to do was to increase her price. Now she won't complain because she now understood the kind of customers that she was trying to reach out to. So you understanding the kind of product you are doing, the problem it was solving in the life of your customers are key. So let me first push that aside, because I mentioned 3 things: understanding your product, understanding your customer, understanding your market. I first went into understanding your product and what exactly it was doing. Now, Now, in creating your benefit ladder, and let's call, I'm sorry, I'm using terms, but but ladder your benefits. Your first benefits are clearly the features that your product has. What does it do? In plain terms, I bake cakes. It's simple enough. Then you can now talk about what are the benefits people get from using your product. That is clearly a bit different as well, because most times people who price a premium sell solution, they sell benefits and not the product. I don't know if I'm clear. They sell products and not, they sell the solution and not necessarily the product. So there's somebody who says that he's selling, there's someone who says that is into HR consulting, but there's another person who says I'm clearly into the job recruitment. I just simply help people get jobs. But there are some who say I'm helping people get their dream careers. I'm on the lookout for dream careers for amazing people. That's completely a different proposition, because what that person is doing is that I've essentially defined what my product is, and I've also qualified the kind of person I'm looking for. So it's clear for you that once you're able to define that clearly, it's important that once you position yourself that way, you position yourself in relation to your customers and then the people that will want to be able to patronize your products as well. So let me go into the details of your customer now. In understanding your customer, it's clear. It's clear that customers drive business. You're in the business not because you want to sell products. You're in the business to be able to fulfill something in life of your customers. And customers essentially going to be the ones who will drive, or they're the lifeline of it. If there are no customers, you are not in business. You have a hobby. So knowing what your product is and how it fits into the life of it is completely is completely critical. And this is what I essentially spend most of my time every day doing, understanding how customers react, understanding how my competition react. I have brands in alcoholic beverages. I have brands in the CSDs category. I have banks in the banking sector. Anything any one of them does affects me. Anything anyone does affects me. So that means for us as an SME, if I'm into digital marketing, what exactly am I doing in the life of people? That needs to be clear. Everybody, I'm into catering. What exactly am I doing? I'm into photography. What exactly am I doing? There are people who and they tell startups this. Most times you have long ideas. I want to save the world. We want to build the Facebook of Nigeria. I want to build the Facebook of Lagos State. However, there's something called the minimum viable product. That yes, you want to chase the whole world, you want to win the world, but what is your MVP, minimum viable product? And the reason why they always say focus on your minimum viable product first is because there is one product or there's one problem your customers need to be solved now. Focus on that first, and then you can now build the rest over time. So, and that will come clearly by understanding what your product does in the life of consumer. Yes, I have, and let me use IT consulting for my example now. Now, I'm into IT consulting. I sell IT solutions. Who do I want to target? First, I need to know that am I targeting businesses or am I targeting retail? I'm targeting directly consumers. Most people, academic people, call it B2B or B2C. B2B is if you are selling to people who sell to other people or who other people use the product for. B2C, you are selling directly to people who actually use the product. So, and which is completely different. Do they use it in their normal operations to service other people, or they are the end consumers of the product? Now, in separating them means that the way you are going to approach these two categories of people are completely different. Photography business, the way you approach individuals who want to take pictures for their wedding parties, for their events, needs to be completely different from organizations who need photography to be able to use in cataloging their own events, in almanacs, for lifestyle photography or stock images that they need. The way you approach it will be completely different. So that becomes important for you to address individually. Now, in approaching this, I will focus on retail. That's business to customers, people who will eventually use your products. Now, I will ask myself, who are my customers? Once I define them, I need to be able to create something called a persona out of my exercise. Now, what developing a consumer profile or defining or describing my customer, what it does for you is that it brings that person alive. If I'm a teacher selling educational solutions, in explaining it, I will explain so much that that individual that I'm dealing with comes alive. You see, once they come alive, their problems will jump out at you clearly. Now, let me still stick with, sorry, any questions so far? Any questions so far? All right, so I move on. In addressing my customers, number one is to experience or walk in their shoes. There are times when if I want to be able to talk to a particular customers within a particular product category, there are times I just spend time in the supermarket listening. There are times I just go and sit down in the beer parlor when people are watching football match and watch how people behave. There are times that I want to really see people's real life. There are people who all they do is that when we are in the midst of certain set of people, they behave in a different way. When we are in a certain set of people, so there was a customer that we were working on at some point in biscuits, and we realized that why are they not selling this in as much? The biscuit was looking nice, was well packaged, was beautiful, but people were not buying it as much. But then we realized that people going to the market realized that people were buying this thing in bulk. They're not buying it in little bits as if they were buying it huge. Moms were buying it in bulk. Then we realized quickly that moms were buying this because the package was looking beautiful and attractive. They were buying it a lot more for birthday party packs and not day to day. So you realize that the biscuits that didn't have fine packaging, they were buying it more for them for day to day use. And then when it was parties or for party pack, they will buy beautiful biscuits for children to take home. So in understanding how we decided to talk, and I decided to say, okay, all our products, let's make them beautiful. So you realize that almost within the category of biscuits, the packaging of the biscuits have changed. They become a lot more colorful, a lot more exciting. It's because they realize that if your product is not if your product is within the transparent, you realize that most of them are moved away from transparent because they know, number one, children love colorful stuff. Number two, you tend to show off the kind of child that you have when they send packs, birthday packs home. So that becomes very clear. So there are key questions you need to know about your customer. So as an IT consultant, I'm going to be targeting SMEs. I've come up with a brilliant idea on how you can create invoicing from your mobile app, and you can share. So I'm essentially going to, if I have invoice and you can create on your mobile app, I'm looking at SMEs, people who don't have as much money. I will also be targeting people who have side hustles, who essentially are trying to run their businesses on the radar. They have a job somewhere, but then they run a catering business, or they do photography on the side as well. What are the key questions that I need to know about them? I will call my target audience Tony. Tony is Tony is a tailor, and then she will need to create invoice and receipts. Then she needs to be able to create it via her phone. Enter the name, enter the details, enter the cost, send as an email to that person, or send via WhatsApp to the person, and that person has her receipt. No headache for my end. I don't need to look for a printer. I don't need to look for anything. And then it has a database helping me collate all the invoices I've sent so far. Now that's my product. What do I need to know about Tony the tailor? Number one, Tony the tailor does not want to be bothered with documentation. So that means I need to be able to allow a bit of slack from my end. Number one, what does Tony want? That's my first question. What do they want? Guess what? I do IT solutions. They don't really need IT solutions. What they want is an invoice. So you need to be clear. What do your customers actually want? You may be selling a product, but think of the end benefit of the product. That is what you need to sell. Is the difference between, I love this example so much, is the difference between somebody who's saying, we are selling land, we are selling estates at 250K per month. Sorry, we are selling houses at 12 million, and the person who is saying sack your landlord in 6 months. It's a completely different. What do they want? These two people want to own their home, but then the person who is saying sack your landlord is taking it a bit further. This person wants freedom. So you need to be able to define what that individual wants. Number two is that what is their need state? Now, their need state allows you to be able to position your product to speak directly to what they need. So look at it. They need invoicing. I need to be able to do my documentation. But the need state of a tailor at that point says, I need documentation without stress. That helps me position my product in a different way. Now, how do they buy my product? How do they patronize my product? This may not directly speak to me, HR consulting, because I need to also know their state of mind. For example, for a tailor, I'm into HR consulting, invoicing. Do they really feel the need for my product? For my product, I need to educate why they need my product. But then you need to know as well that if your product solves a particular pain in the life of that target audience, you need to call it out very quickly. If your product solves a specific problem in the life of them, the need state calls it out. So you need to know whether your product actually inspires a passion or it solves a pain. You see, in those two instances, you have an opportunity to be able to play up the opportunities and the benefits of your product. Going back to how do they buy, you need to understand how they eventually buy your product. Do they go online and search? Earlier today, I was giving an example that we have found out how people buy online these days. They go online, they search for it on Google, they go to Jumia, search for it, they go to Konga, search for it, they go to Gigi and check the actual price, and then they go to the shop to go and do the actual buying. So that means while people are doing a lot of browsing online, they are not buying online. They go offline to buy. They tend to compare prices and then go offline to buy. And that will inform how you position your product as well. Does it take a lot of research for people to buy? The person who wants to buy a little bag dress for a wedding on Saturday is different from the person who wants to buy a little bag dress for Christmas. So how the journey in which they will use to decide whether they will buy your product is different, and you need to take that into cognizance as well and pay attention to it. What you want to do is to sell your product. So you need to know, do they already know about your product already? Are they already considering buying from you? You need to separate those individuals as well. You need to understand how they buy. Most times as well, imagine if all you are doing is selling clothes. That means the role for the person who buys, if I sell clothes, what I'll be posting on Instagram, on my benefit ladder, the best I can do is to give free stuff, free samples of my products, how people look like, customer testimonials, all these things. I then need to begin to spend time in the comment section to find out how people are engaging with it. Do people like this product? People are asking for what the price is. People are asking for, but then there's a long line between asking for what the price is. People just check what the price is and then move on. People on your comment page, people are asking, okay, so how much is this? Do you have my size? Because in between your online shop or your physical, or your, if you're an online entrepreneur, in between your online shop and then buying is a long process. So you need to understand all the entire process that takes for customers to buy. I see the product online, I tell you I want, you respond to me, I try to decide, I move on. So if you don't know that in between your first shop, not everybody that comes to your shop and asks for the price buy immediately. You need to keep tabs on those people. Most times when people say no and don't buy, there are three key things. Number one, they can't afford it. Number two, they may not be ready. Number three, they are not interested. Now, most times we assume that all those three categories is because they are not interested. No, not always. So you need to keep tabs on all those individuals. Oh, guy, you're not buying now. Can I still get your number? Sometimes you may have products that we may reach out to you for. This is this. Because one day that person will still need your product. That's why today you find out that people, to prove that people have arrived, they still go back to go and buy Benz. Because maybe at some point in their life, they said, I'm going to drive this particular car. So you need to know how your customers buy. What's the buying process? How do they eventually make a purchase? How they eventually decide you want to buy? Look at, if you want to buy a car, someone like me, if you want to buy a car, go to check it, go and look at the price, go to the original manufacturer, go and check out the sizes. Okay, what does this have? It takes a longer process for some products, it takes a shorter process for some products. Then what are the things they need to be able to know that they need to buy these products now? Can you help them shorten their journey? If you are selling shoes, can you, when they see the shoe, they know it's beautiful, they don't know whether it's what they buy or not. Okay, so there was someone I met sometime, I think about 4 or 5 months ago, who was saying that what she does is that she has a lot of customer testimonials on her social media page. And I was like, so this is fantastic, because what you are doing is that you are getting other people to tell the story of your own product. He said, let me tell you what I'm doing. Essentially what she's doing is that she has a discount for marketing, that if you are selling your product at 10K, I will sell it to you at 9K if you share the testimonial of your product with me, so that I can use on my platform. And that's how she has essentially generated an endless channel of customer testimonials. Now, what she has done with customer testimonials is that she has tried to use that to shorten the buying process of our customers. So if your customers, the process in which they tend to use is long, imagine if it's clothes. The first question the lady will be thinking, and ladies are really more complicated, is that, do they have my size? How will it look on me? What are other people saying about her? Is she going to deliver on time? All that you can actually solve by answering those questions when you engage them. Even if it's a physical store, get that person and engage that person clearly. The next question you need to ask is, what media channels do they use? There was a time when we're talking to I was talking to some guys, and we're like, okay, this thing can only work via radio, because you are trying to target people who are bus conductors. Most times, it's either the driver is turning on radio or not. Where do you need to get them? You can't go into, if you are going to target bus conductors and drivers, you can't be saying you are going to Reading FM. Those ones are for bougie people. You need to go and find Bond FM, Faji FM. Those are the places where you are likely going to find them. If you are selling, if you are in catering, fantastic. Almost everybody, every modern WhatsApp group, I'll probably be there, because moms do cakes for every single one of their children, even if, for their own parties as well. Okay. Apart from that, I know who are the people I'm also going to target? People who want to do weddings. Every single fellowship, I can go and reach out to them. If you're married, you can come and tell them for free on how to get into how to step into family, how to manage couples relationship. But then you are also talking from the point of the fact that they're into catering business. You can so it's clear that you need to know where are they consuming media. Where are you likely going to find those kind of people as well? The next question you need to ask yourself then also is, how do they use your product? It's interesting that how people use products may be completely different from how you say you are giving the product out. It will be interesting if, for example, okay, so for example, WhatsApp started by saying that we're instant messaging platform, but there are amazing things being done on WhatsApp, that WhatsApp is already thinking about a lot of possibilities in expanding the features to accommodate those, but they did not start by thinking that way. It's the same way YouTube started as a dating site. Is when people started uploading videos and all that, that it became something else. So how people use your products may give you ideas on how. And it's interesting for me that, because most times when we come up with strategies, you can sit down and watch how people use the product. You will get a lot more from them. The example I mentioned on moms buying bulk colorful things for party packs as against bulk for party packs as against the one that they buy, was just done by just observing people buying in bulk in Okeani market. It's the same way. You can as well go to a shopping mall and look at the category where your product or so what you want to do gets there, and just watch how people engage, how people buy, how they purchase it, what are the things they look out for. Okay, I'm selling fish. I can go to places where they sell fish and just sit down and watch how people engage, how they buy those products as well. You can as well look at sort of the person who's in digital marketing. What are the likely problems the people? Are you targeting SMEs? You're targeting business people. You're targeting agencies. What are the likely challenges they're having? Where do they call for these people? How you doing? How do they use those things? I have a friend who all he's doing is email marketing, and he's held it down. Yes, digital marketing. Everybody can say they're digital marketing. We're saying that it's email marketing. Now, what has happened now is that every time people think about email marketing, they think of him first. But you see, email marketing is one section of digital marketing, but he's honed down that niche. He said, well, everybody say digital marketing. Yeah. I have another one who does search engine optimization. That is a core. As she said, that's me. But because there's whole lot of noise around those areas, she has understood that these are the likely problems that their customers have. This is the most viable. Let me build my niche around here. I've mentioned media consumption habits. Where are you likely going to find those people? How will you be able to engage them? How will you talk to them as well? Where are they likely going to find them as well? Physically, there are clusters in which you can find these individuals and engage them. Clearly, by the time you go through this entire process, certain things about your customer will begin to come to you. And the exercise that we usually try to do is we craft a story about this person. And now what happens is, when you craft a story about this person, those people will come alive to you. I can write a story about Toyin the tailor as an HR consultant. Toyin the tailor is not interested in anything technology. She loves working with machines. Anything that has to do with documentation is very, very, very poor. She needs a solution that takes care of invoicing and paper solutions without having to resort to anything. However, the only tool she has is a mobile phone. Now, the story I've crafted now will relate to at least 60 to 70% of women who are tailors. I can now then go into how does she buy this product. I can say for a lot of them, they don't feel the need for invoicing and receipts, because it's not core of, they don't think it is core of their operations. Now, when I'm crafting this story, I'm already mentally telling myself that that means that if I'm selling this to these individuals, I need to educate them to be able to use it. Okay, so that means For me, immediately you're creating that story, you need to be finite enough. But most times, some people even go as far as sharing what a day in the life of that person looks like. She wakes up, she moves in. So in crafting all this, the critical points of where your product will meet their needs will come out itself. So when you're trying to sell the product to them, you are not just selling the product. Oh, my cakes are good. It is. My cakes are fantastic for parties. You know the ones that you do and it stays 2 days. My cake can deliver on that, because you know that most times when people do cakes these days, they have to meet if they have to share it according to a particular pattern. There are people who you will give, and there are people you will keep for later. You can't take cakes to school now and then say you're not dropping some for the parents. You can't do engagement party now and not share cake for family members. Some of them are going to get that product the next day or 2 days after. Those are the issues that you need to speak to clearly. For the digital marketing professional, most of the people that you are likely going to be meeting, you'll be sharing a lot of information that they are not interested in. They want to solve their problem now. How can I get more people on my? So instead of sharing digital marketing, as why not go straight into? So for like 5-6 years, I was running an annual training for entrepreneurs on digital marketing. And what did I call it? Simple. Online marketing for smart entrepreneurs. It's simple and straightforward. I've told you what the product is. I've told you the person I'm looking for. Will you hone that to simple things that they can relate with? Oh, I'm a Facebook professional. Relate with it quickly. Oh, I'm into WhatsApp marketing. They will relate with those simply and quickly, because digital marketing presents to them something broad, something high. But once you begin to productize it and create simple buckets that they can engage with, you are more likely going to get a response from them as well. Now, while you are trying to do all this, you are relating with customers. Remember also that you are not only talking to that person, which is why understanding those three segments are critical. Understanding the market in which you're operating is almost as important as understanding your customers, because there are certain things that will happen within your industry that can change you out of business in months. For example, I always love to use the story of helmets. When Lagos State made a rule and said people must wear helmets before they are on bikes. Clearly, what that simple law will do, that it will make some people who sell helmets millionaires in days. But then again, the day that law becomes lax, becomes lax, and you have other 10,000 helmets and they are coming from China, then there's a problem. So that means critically for you, you need to understand the context in which your product or your service operates. What are the likely people or alternatives people use for your products? You have direct competitors, you have alternatives. The person who is selling chin chin today has competitor with gala, you have with plantain chips, you have with fruit on the road, you have with all kinds of things. So you can't sit down and say because you are selling one thing, keep an eye on what is happening within those space as well. What are the factors that are affecting your industries? Educated people in marketing class will say do a test of that industry. What are the political factors that can affect your product or service? I just give you an example of a political factor that can affect your product or service, as government regulations, government laws, government laxity. For example, now anybody who wants to invest money into film production, be ready for piracy, because there are no laws that protects you in those areas. Environmental factors as well. So someone who wants to import umbrella should not be thinking about it at the end of the year, because between now and sometime in February, rain will be very, very low. So if you are just shipping in your umbrellas now, you are going to just pay for storage and just keep it till then. So those factors become important. Environmental factors as well. There are people who buy farm produce from the north and come and sell it in Lagos. Now, what exactly is happening with them is that you realize that when products are off-season, they become more expensive. But you see, one of the things that you don't know is that some of those products were actually produced in season. So sometimes you find out that people who produce yam, they harvest the yam and then store the yam. They store the yam for about 5, 6 months and then sell at the time when it is off season because it's a lot more expensive at that time. There's also social factors. There are times when your product is seen as cool to be used, and there are some is not seen as cool to be used. Technology as well affects. So you need to play with all those things. What are the factors that affect your product within the market you operate? Now, within your category now speaks to products that perform the same function within what you do. So look at it this way: during people who sell plantain chips in rainy season have a lot of competition from corn, because once corn is in season in Lagos and the southwest, people essentially just go there. Whether you like it or not, those people would have been taking gala, those people would have been taking chin chin, those people would have been taking plantain chips. But immediately that product comes in, it takes a portion of what is in their pocket. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Any question? Any questions? Someone has asked a question here. How do you think e-commerce stores can compel people to buy online? It's hard to compel people to buy online, but then what you then do is to constantly be in their face. One of the things most of these e-commerce do is something called retargeting. I'm sure you have an idea of what that is, retargeting people. But then what you now then do is what I call face retargeting, where you can go back at certain times, and Facebook as well allows you to do that these days as well. That once people visit your site, and this is not a Facebook class, but I'll just try to speak about it. Once people visit your site, Facebook can allow you target them later. You can target based on website visitors. So if you do that, you realize that if people visited, where did they visit and they left? So most times when people visit your cart page, it's most likely that they wanted to buy. They have indicated interest because they've seen the product, they've clicked add to cart, but then they didn't buy. You can target them later with the same product. You can target them 4 days after with different colors of the same products. You can target them 4 days after with alternates of the same product. So imagine if they came and wanted to buy shoes. 5 or 6 days after, 3-4 days after, you show them the black shoe. First, they try to buy the brown shoe. 3 days after, you show them the black shoe. Maybe that was not what they want to buy. 4 days after, you try to show them a belt because the complementary product. The next thing you cannot tell them is, okay, we're actually doing 5% off. Do you want to buy? Now, within what they have done, they have actually placed that person on a phased promotional line, so that you're giving the person every option to actually buy the product. You can do that through Facebook, targeting. You can go to retargeting platforms like Adro to be able to do that as well. The other thing to be able to know, and sorry, I'm going back to understanding the market. So I've done understanding your customer, now understanding your market. I've talked about understanding the industry in which you play and the different players, your direct competition, and then substitute. Direct competitions are people who do exactly what you do. I'm Akinwale plantain chips. This is Molade plantain chips. We sell the same thing. Understand what those people also bring to the table. Understand substitutes or alternate products. So while people sell your products directly together with you at direct competitions, you need to also know the alternate products that people can buy if your product is not available, and see how you compare to them specifically every time. Also understand the complementary products. There's I was trying to prepare slides for this meeting. I didn't finish, but there's a picture I had of a woman who was going. She was selling going, and then another woman beside her was selling bread. And then there was a caption under it that work with people who complement your business. If you find out now, you realize that companies that do sausage on traffic are trying to work with people who sell either yogurt or soft drinks, because they know most people, that's what they take like Azela and Gala They take Right Sausage and Biggie Cola. They take Pepsi and Gala, because you need to know how those things work. And that becomes important, because if people are gathering and they are using something that complements your product, you had better be found there as well. Because if you are doing that, it's important for you to identify those opportunities and show up. Another thing to be able to know is how you are positioned comparative to them. It's nice to know your product well, and then my product is fantastic, is good, is great. But if you don't focus on them, it's a function of time, because they will be responding to gain advantage on what you have. Sorry, excuse me. Now, an advantage of what you have. Now, clearly how your competition is positioned in relation to you. Are they priced cheaper than you are? Who's more expensive? Who has a better quality product? Who can deliver in a faster time? Who can create an undifferentiated advantage that you cannot even think of clearly against yours? You need to understand how all these factors play. Because if you are saying you are selling your donuts at 100 naira, and then someone opens a shop beside you and sell your exact same donuts at 80 naira, is a function of time, you soon be out of business. So you need to find how your product relates, or what your unique selling proposition is in relation to others. Now, in understanding this is the customer, this is the market, this is my product, what singular product or what singular promise or benefit is your product going to do in the life of your target audience that nobody can either meet or meet in a quicker way? Because these days people copy product features very quickly. So that means you need to be able to hold your positioning tight enough so that when a different competition comes, you're able to position yourself clearly in relation to them. Is it that the way you treat your customers is nicer? Is it the way the product that you are giving to them, is it different from other people? Now, if you do what I call is, and you can check online, it's called a unique selling proposition circle, or USP circle is called. You need to find what your unique selling proposition is. You see, and within those circles, if you draw three circles, they are intersecting each other at the center. I don't know whether I can do that here quickly. I'm sorry, just my time is fast spent, but I think this will help. This will help solve that very quickly. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the whiteboard I'll be sharing with you, but it's very, very simple. Now, the first thing you need to do is to draw those three circles. Okay. Now, in drawing those three circles, you need to keep in mind simple things. Number one is what your customer wants. Number two is what your business does well. And number three is what your competitors do well as well. Let me write that here. Man, I can't write with my fingers. Pardon my terrible writing. I'm not used to writing with my fingers. But number one is what your customers do well. Number two is what you do well. So let me do you here. This is what your customers want. Then what your competition does. Now, because you have done your own assignments, the first one is what your customers want. The second one is what you do well. The number three is what your competitors do well. Now, here is where it becomes a bit tricky. Now, you cannot afford to do what your competitors do well, because if you are doing what your competitors doing well, the best you will be able to do is to steal what's there, and you will not be positioned favorably to them. So that means you need to find a unique position between what you do well, what your customers do well, what your customers want, and what you do well, what your customers do, what your custom competitors do but cannot do as much as you, and what your customers want. Your sweet spot is what your customers want and what your brand does. That's where your winning zone is. I'm trying to find the screen again. Time is fast spent. Okay, I'm trying to find my screen. Okay, so what's your success zone is where I just sorry, it's the other way around. Your success zone is, oh no, sorry, let me go back to draw. So this is where your success zone is. Your success zone is a combination of what your customers want and what you do well. Now, it is not within the segment of where your competition actually can beat you. So if you have what your customers want and what your competitors do well, you are going, it's a losing zone. One of you is going to lose. And most times you find out that at the end of the day, most people are doing the same thing, no differentiation. It's because we're in a losing zone. We're in a commoditized market. Everybody is doing exactly the same thing. Nobody is saying this is why my stuff is different from everybody. You see, if your commissioners do the same thing exactly as what customers want, then you're all struggling for exactly the same market. But if there's something you are doing differently that edges out the competition against, that raises you above the competition, that's where you want to be. Now, if you go as well into what you do well and your customer doesn't want, then that's a problem. You know, if you say this is what you do, your customers, if you say this is what your customers want and you do well, that's where you want to be. What you do well and your competition does well, no, your customer is not your customers. I'm trying to see if I can find colored. Okay, if what you do well and your competitors do well and the customers are not there, the two of you are just jokers. You're on the the two of you are just having fun. However, what customers want and and you are not there, this of course you can't be here as well, because this is where you have lost. Your commission does something fantastic, your customers want it, you are not in the picture. You want to be exactly where your customers want, what your customers want and what you do well better than the competition. Now, if you find what that thing is, and it can be as little as price. Nigeria is a completely price-driven market, and most times we don't always usually realize that within people, if they are telling you that more than 70% of Nigerians live on less than $2 a day, that's telling you that a larger chunk of numbers of people in Nigeria, price is an important consideration for them. So that means that if you can create your product and sell at a profitably and considerably cheaper than your competition, you have a fantastic proposition. If you are able to deliver it faster than your competition, then you have time as a USP. If you can deliver at a better quality than competition, then you have quality as a USP. If you can deliver a better experience to people, then you have experience as a USP. You need to hone down into that thing and ensure that it is as well important to the people you are trying to reach. Ultimately, once you identify what this unique selling proposition is, the next thing you need to know is what marketing will do for you, the role of marketing in this whole thing. Because yes, you need to have a clear role. What exactly will marketing help you achieve? If you don't define what marketing will help you achieve, you will do a lot of things and then not reap the benefits. Most times, for example, what you need marketing to do for you is to generate leads. To say, Nigerians, most Nigerians don't buy things instantly. So all I need market to do for me, just let me get people's phone numbers and emails. I will reach them later. Facebook allows you to be able to track people or track and target people by phone numbers, by emails. You can collect that and read them later. Are you pushing? So if that is the case, what you need are people's emails. For example, if you're a B2B business and you're trying to push that in your benefit ladder, then you have to have what exactly are you giving out for free to be able to harness a lot of phone numbers and emails, because the more customers that talk to you, the more likely you are able to convert them. So in your purchase funnel, if you have 1,000, if you are talking to 100 people every day and you are only converting 4 of them, at the end of 1 week, you would have, at the end of 5 days, Monday to Friday, you would have converted 20 people and have spoken to 500 people. Yes, you failed in the long term, but if you ensure that your cost is covered with the 20 people that make a sale, then you are in business. All you need to do is to ensure that every day you are talking to 100 people, and then you are converting your 20 people at the end of every week. So that is essentially clear. If it is driving traffic for your site, for people who have blogs, okay, they are just driving traffic, people come and read, fantastic. If it's HR consulting, it's B2B. People will need to be interested. Is there something that I may need to get or give people for free that they may need to be able to appreciate the kind of things that I do? Good. 14 ways business documentation kills SMEs. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to create an infographic. I'm going to do videos. I'm going to do calendars and share with SMEs. I'm going to go to SME events and trainings and give to them. At the footnote there, I'll tell you I'm into invoicing solutions, or how HR consulting, how hiring the wrong staff can destroy your business. It's free, it's video, it's text. Because by the time you are doing that, what you are doing is that you are getting the attention by speaking to the direct problem of the people you are trying to reach. Okay, so that becomes clear, because you need to call out the role of marketing in your business. It has to have a role in your overall business. Once you define a role for it, the possibilities of how you'll be able to achieve the reason why you are using marketing becomes essentially very clear as well. And depending on the type of business you have as well, you need to understand what they call consumer decision journey, and it goes awareness. People get to know your product, they consider your product, then they try it, they become repeat customers, and then they become loyalists. Now, along this route, you need to know where most of your customers are. Sorry, excuse me. You need to know where your customers are. If you have been in business for a long time and people are no longer buying your products, you need to know why. People know a lot of my products, but then they are not buying now. What do I need to do? You need to begin to ask yourself those questions. At times, what I try to do here is, ideally for new businesses and most SMEs, it's awareness, and consideration. Okay, no worries, no worries. As well, you need to understand how all these interplay with your product, and how you'll be able to deliver for them. I'll stop here because of time, and then take your questions. Hello.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. It's been an amazing session. So please, if you have any question, just indicate. You can just mention in the chat box that you have a question, and I will mute you so we can hear you. Or if you want to type it, you can type it in the chat box as well, and we'll attend to that. So we'll just take a few questions. We have 5 minutes to do that. So if you have a question, please, you can indicate if you want to share via audio, or you can just type and drop it in the chat box. So let's make the most of the time we have, and we can call it a night. Any question? Okay, maybe I can help. Okay. Someone is saying, can you please say the customer's journey again? That's awareness part, awareness, consideration. So,
Awareness, consideration, preference, purchase, and loyalty.
okay, I'll just try to drop that so we can get that purchase and loyalty. Okay, so that's that. I believe we have that there. PDK, quick question. So just to, I know that we have a number of people who are more or less a one-man mopo at the moment, and maybe most of the ways they get their consumers is from Instagram, for example. How do you think people can get to understand their customer better in this Instagram, Facebook age? Since they cannot go to a store to look at them and all of that, is there anything that people can leverage on to be able to do what they are doing on Instagram or Facebook better? Since there's a small one-man mopo that doesn't have the budget to do a lot of things, what are the easy steps that people can begin to do immediately to improve on what their marketing delivers for them?
So it's interesting you mentioned this, but already that's exactly what I've mentioned. You need to find out where they are. For example, imagine if I have an Instagram page and all I'm selling are shoes and bags. In going to find other people who sell exactly what I do and going through their pages, you will see a lot of information already. So imagine if I sell shoes, and then all I'm doing is I go and find somebody else who sells shoes, and I follow their page as well. Now, in following their page, I'm likely going to find how people are engaging. What are the questions people are asking? How is this person responding? Does this person actually have the product? How are they engaging with this individual as well? What are the likely opportunities I'm spotting? This person is selling office shoes, but then people are asking for stiletto shoes, and this person is not responding. This person cannot meet that person's need. Am I going to go after that person and tell the person, okay, I actually sell? Can we talk in DM? So it helps you in a bit understand how these people relate as well. There's a tool I'm trying to call up in my head, where you can actually now check the times that people post online, the best times for you to post. If I remember, I'll share that with you. But just even engaging your people online, one of the things that is helping online as well is constant communication. You realize that people are constantly communicating every day. You have a lot more followers. You'll be engaged a lot more. Go to other people's pages and engage as well. People are watching everybody who's commenting. There's a whole community around comments in Instagram that you can mine. You can mine information. You can do a lot of research by following other people on their pages. What questions are they asking? What direction is this person going? What is this person saying? Can I also learn from this person? Can I engage this person as well? How can I leverage this person's followers to be able to engage? You know, in Facebook advertising, you can actually run ads that targets the followers of another person. You can target the interest of them. You can target within the locality of where you are. So as a one-man mopo, tools are your friend. The internet is your friend. Look at all those blogs where are doing exactly what you do. Find those things that are important. Okay, I'm more active on Instagram. Let me find out what are people doing. Find the top 10 people who do exactly what you do, and then follow them. Sit down in one day. Try to look at what they are posting, what is working. There are times when they post and they get a thousand likes. There are times when they post and it's only 20 people who like it. What are the kind of things those people are reaching? Because guess what? The kind of things that interest those kind of people are the same that interest your own kind of people as well. Engaging on their own page also allow you to be able to engage people on engaging on their own page also give an opportunity for people to be able to engage you as well. So it's interesting if you begin to look at that and engage from that point of view as well. That you are seeing how people are engaging. You are seeing the opportunities that are available for you to be able to plug in. You are seeing the needs that are unmet, and then even directly engaging those followers. Imagine if there's another HR consulting website that is on Instagram is trying to be active. Okay, can we talk about the 4-6 reasons why people hate their offices? Let me reach out to these people, or I can create an infograph on 6 reasons why people hate their offices. And can you just tell that person, okay, put your logo on it, reach out to that individual privately. I have this. Can you please help me share with your audience or anything? So you can do a covert operation, military word. In trying to find out, you can also directly engage those individuals, because I've also realized that when people move together in packs, your followers grow together, because once you share the same kind of audience, the likelihood that people are going to follow you as well is as well high. So those are the things that there's no substitute to you actively being there, directly engaging. Yes, there are tools that you can use. There's to schedule your post. Buffer app will help you schedule posts online and post at certain times. But there's nothing as important as directly going to respond, to engage within the comment sections of those individuals if you as well want to be able to grow your page. Hello?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think there are like 2 questions in the chat box. Someone is saying, if you have decided to run a B2B model, how do you go about prospecting for clients? Someone said, is it good enough to establish friendship or other forms of relationship with a customer or client? I think those are the 2 questions we have, if you want to quickly give it a go.
So for people who, I think it is a great option if you want to be able to establish friendship with clients, but you also need to be careful. Having and that has its own complexities. When you build passionate brands and you have close relations, when things go bad, they go really, really bad. So you need to be sure that that's what you want to do before you actually go the long haul into it. But building relationship, direct relationship with your customers is fantastic. It works well. In fact, that's why so many pages that have grown is because there's a face of a person behind it. I don't know if you understand, man. Oh, okay, it's messy clothing, but it's Akin is Sade that is actually running. So because they can see Sade, it's easier for them to have a relationship with Sade than messy clothing. So people are actually so yes, it's possible. And interestingly, online, particularly on social media, Facebook and Instagram, talking like an individual, like a person, is actually more effective than talking like a business. The business wants to talk very all formal, very all things. But if you talk as a person, as an individual, relatable, sharing your pains, your struggle, your opportunities, your successes with those people as well, they identify a lot more with you, and then they are likely going to buy more from you. Remember as well, the reason why social media selling has become very powerful is because people are likely going to buy things from based on recommendations from their friends. And if their friends are already recommending on social media, then you have a very loyal buyer in your hands. So the person who is saying they are going to the route of B2B, B2B is actually a bit more technical, and I'll explain that a bit. Because now you are trying to sell to businesses, you need to ask yourself, how do I reach out to these people? Do you want to go shop to shop? That's a lot of work. But if you want to sell to specific businesses and you want to leverage online, you need to identify who are these businesses. Then you begin to find online where they are likely going to be. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool for searching. So if you are selling, for example, I'm selling paper for photocopying papers in bulk. I'm just using an example, hypothetical. I just imported it from Turkey, and it's very cheap, high quality. I can just reach out to admin managers or purchasing managers in organizations. How do I get them? Just visit LinkedIn. LinkedIn has an advanced search profile where you can generate based on their role and then location. So imagine that I just search in LinkedIn and look for admin managers or HR managers in Lagos State. It's going to generate that for me, and I'm able to reach out to those individuals as well. The other alternate approach to this is to solve a problem and then give it out for free. That's where your product laddering comes from. Remember when I was talking about product laddering for directly retailers, I said there are things that you need to be able to give out for free. Most times when people are giving things from the person cooking food is giving out free pictures of the food so that you can get people's mouth watery and then they can order for food, so that ultimately you can sell food to them. What can you give out for free that people will give you their email? So let me use HR consulting for B2B. I'd mentioned, imagine that if, who am I trying to reach out to? Am I employee recruitment, or I'm into training? I will look for a problem within that area and then push it out. Guess what? The people who are going to download these products are people likely interested in my service. So imagine I'm into teamwork training. I'm going to release a product and title it 14 ways teamwork destroys organizations. And I list 14 reasons how teamwork is organized. And then I end by telling you the 5 factors every team needs. And then I tell you that I run those trainings. Now, I will push out that online. Now, I'll go and look for a free place where I can create lead magnets online and do. Facebook allows you to do lead generation now. You can, so once you get people's emails, you can reach out to them, send the product to them, and then begin to reach out to them. Oh, you saw those products. And there are tools that people use for this as well. You can use email marketing, MailChimp, Aweber. There's so many, but I can only remember 2 now. Once you sign up, MailChimp allows you to use for up to 500 users, for up to 2,000 users, okay, for free. So that means you can actually constantly engage people, up to 2,000 people regularly on HR matters, if that's what you do. But then the first thing you do is to send them down. Once they down, anybody who is likely going to down, imagine if I'm into furniture making and I do a report on how sitting destroy people's life while they are trying to build their career. And at the end, I tell you, I'm selling ergometric chairs that makes people comfortable when they are working. And I tell people to buy. What I'm doing is, people who buy this are likely going to be people who are office people, and they're likely going to be working in organizations. Now, what it does for you as well is that you can now take those emails and feed them back online to generate people who look like the target audience that you already have their emails, and then harness and then use that to reach new customers as well. So B2B is a bit more technical, but it's also fun and interesting, because once you are able to get your first set of people who are interested, you will constantly be able to get people, and then you can use you can now target people based on that. Where are they likely going to find them? You can go offline on this as well. Create some physical reports and go HR. I'm going back to HR consulting. Is there an HR conference happening somewhere? Is there an employee something happening somewhere? I go there, do simple copies, and then give them to people with my address, and then begin to build customers from there. B2B, the route to B2B is a bit longer. The approval process for organizations, if they are large, people understanding the differences between your product and the one they currently use. So generating those leads, emails and phone numbers is the first step, and those are simple ideas in which you can use to generate yours. Hello?
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's one last one, so we can go tonight. So I think this question is saying, if what you do best is what your competition do best as well, what then do you do?
Fantastic question, and I think I've answered that in a bit. That you need to find a comparative and competitive advantage. What they do best is what they do. Is it price? Is it quality? You need to find a differentiating factor from your. You need to just find that thing. You see, because if you don't find it, as long as that person is there, you'll be sharing customers. So it's either you find it in your product or you find it in the customers. There are people who, and it was interesting so there was a barber I used to use a couple of years ago. The guy doesn't cut hair. He just sits down and he just sit down and chat with everybody who's coming there, who's in the queue. He chats with them, how's your family, blah blah blah. This. I really didn't like him because he talks too much. But later I realized that this was this guy's competitive advantage. Because by the time the people come there, they are relaxed, they're inside AC, he's talking to them, how's family, what business is, what's happening in the business cave, I have this idea, what do you think? It's almost as if he's engaging people one-on-one. He's trying to use that relationship to sustain his business. If you go somewhere else, another barber shop, that all he knows how to do is to cut hair, you will forget the fact that that guy knows how to cut hair better. And one of the things I forgot to mention is that while we think people are rational, we are more emotional than rational. We rationalize what we think. We rationalize what we feel. So if you really look at it, if your competition does exactly the same thing, please sit down and interrogate that very well. What area is that person not meeting enough? Is it that that person is now so busy and they can't have personal touch with everybody they relate with? Fantastic, you have what you are looking for. Is it that because they are serving too many people, they are not delivering to people on time? Fantastic, you have time as an advantage. If you order now, we get it to you in 30 minutes. Because we don't have so many people, we get it in 30 minutes. So you need to sit down and find that thing that actually positions you in relation to those people. Because if you don't, you are likely going to be losing a large number of people to those people every time. Or at best, the two of you will be sharing customers. Is it that another area you can look at is coverage? Is that person, and if you look at brands that are trying to launch, I think Smile did that when he was trying to launch his own data bundle. You realize that they didn't launch in Lagos, they launched in Ibadan. Everybody is in Lagos, everybody is launching in Lagos, Lagos and Abuja. They are trying to sell Wi-Fi, and what they did was everybody's in Lagos. They have issues. They have only 2 shops in one shop per state. Why not us go and cover Ibadan? If we are strong in Ibadan, it's easy to come to Lagos. That's what they did, because they looked at, okay, which area is this person covering? You are covering that area. Let's go and cover this small area first, and then move in. Look at these individual brands, Life and Hero. They first started in the east. They were not in Lagos, but now you see it all around Lagos. They first went into individual region to go and conquer there, so that because Lagos is crowded, and then begin to creep in. So you need to find that place. I think it's called Blue Ocean Strategy. There's a book on that completely, that talks about you just find one space that you can sit and then begin to build to become stronger and match your competitor from there. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, PDK. It was been an amazing session tonight. Please, he's on Instagram. You can follow him at Adeola Kayode. So please check him out there, Adeola Kayode. I'll put it in the chat box now. Let's follow him on Instagram, and I'm sure we can also engage him further from there accordingly. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us tonight and your wealth of experience. It's been a blessing. I've learned a lot as well, and I'm sure everyone listening has learned one thing or the other. Thanks so much, PDK. Have a lovely night. And everyone, see you in class or WhatsApp. Good night, everyone. Have fun.
Good night, everyone. Yeah. Bye.